Hey guys, so I'm in my backyard and I'm thinking about what we had talked about earlier about measuring things. Um, and I thought we could do just a little lesson back here. So the first thing is when we measure, we can be exact and get the perfect number, or we can estimate. And when we estimate, we kind of want to decide what unit of measurement to use. Can you say unit of measurement? Yeah, unit of measurement. So we talked about that. If it's about this big, like as long as my knuckle there, it's about an inch. It's about as long as my arm from my elbow to my hand. It's about a foot. Not my whole arm, just from my elbow to my hand. And if it's about as long as my leg, that's about 3 feet. That's a yard. And to be honest with you, most people don't measure in yards very much. So I wanted to show you a couple of tools that people use to measure. And these are probably the most common. So let's take a look. Alright, so I have two of the most commonly used tools. The first one, you've seen this before. It's a ruler. This one's fancy. It's metal, has a hole in the end. And you probably already noticed that there are some big numbers at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 12. Those are inches. Now if we flip it over, these are centimeters. We're not going to use those. Those are metric. Today we're working on customary measurement, inches. Customary. Can you say customary? The other tool that a lot of people use, and probably you have in your house, called the tape measure. You can pull it out a long way. Measures. This one measures all the way up to 25 feet. But if you notice, if you look really carefully, it starts with 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inches, 4 inches, 5 inches, and it goes all the way to 12. So it's a pretty cool tool for measuring. Okay, so let's do a quick review before we keep going. We're working on measurement, and we're working on customary measurement. We'll work on metric another time, but customary measurement. And when we talk about customary measurement, these are the kinds of measurements that we would use. It says what unit, kind of a fancy word, what unit of measurements could we use? So the first one is inches, inches, foot, feet, yard, yards, and then if we get really big, like from my house to your house, mile or miles. And today we're really going to focus on inches and feet. Yards, not too common, and miles, well, I'm not going that far. So how big is a yard? Excuse me, how big is an inch? An inch is about from the tip of your finger to the knuckle where it bends. So that's about an inch. And if you were to measure your hand, that would be about 5 inches. And if we're measuring feet, well, if you measure from your elbow to your hand, it's about 1 foot. And if you were to measure your body, it's about 4 feet, 3 to 4 feet. And the last measurement we're talking about is yards, which is, we're not going to use that much, but yards. Yard is about, it's about how wide a table is. If you were to reach across your table where you eat breakfast, about a yard. And then if you measured a bus, about 10 yards. So we've got inches, feet, which are bigger, yards, and I'd like to take a look around. Okay, so let's take a look. I hope you don't get dizzy as we go. Right in front of me is my garden, and I'm looking at this plant with these orange flowers. It's called Leonidas, and if I were to measure this flower, would I use inches, feet, or yards? Yeah, if you said inches, you're right, because it's a really short measurement. Each one of these little flowers, I'll pick one, is probably about 1 inch. Now, what if I wanted to measure this branch right here? If I wanted to measure this branch right here, would I use inches, feet, or yards? Well, if you said any of those, you're probably right. Some people would use inches because they want to be exact. Most people would say, oh, Mr. O'Neill, that's about 3 feet long. So we'd probably use feet if we're estimating. What if I wanted to measure this tree up here? The whole tree from top to bottom. Yeah, we'd probably use yards. Although if you said feet, that would be a good one too. I'd say that this tree is probably about 14 feet tall. Now, what do you see in this tree? Yeah, there's some lemons. So if we were to measure those lemons, would we use feet? No way. Would we use yards? Mm-mm. You'd use inches. And this lemon, I'd say 2, maybe 3 inches tall. And here I have my little furry friend who might run away. His name is... What do you think? Would we measure him in inches, feet, or yards? Well, he's not even close to a yard, so I'd throw that one out. Might measure him in feet, but I don't think that's the best choice. Really, we'd probably measure him in inches, and I'd guess that he's probably about 18 to 20 inches long. So, remember, usually inches are for shorter things or for precision, being very exact. Feet are for things that are kind of medium to longer in length, and yards, if you use them, are for things that are really long. In fact, look behind me. See those telephone wires? I might measure those in yards. Those are really long. They go from my neighbor's house to the other neighbor's house and then all the way down the street. But in general, nah, mostly inches and feet.